I'd say Elden Ring's skill ceiling is so much lower. Actually, I would put it a different way, Thor. I don't think that Elden Ring has a short skill ceiling. I think it has a high skill floor. What does debuffing PvP achieve? So it achieves two things, two very specific and very important things for the length and the health of this game. Firstly, it achieves a higher level of skill reward. So better players are more consistent and more intelligent about how they play. So having more of a chance to play the game against someone means that over time, you are going to win more often. And you already see that in Elden Ring, right? The skilled players generally win more often than they lose, right? But what happens a lot in Elden Ring is, one lucky ability goes off and it does 2,000 damage and one-shots, you know what I mean? Like, someone who is significantly better than the person that they're fighting, right? Especially in a 3v1, right? So nerfing the amount of damage while leaving like health where it is, or maybe even making it more. But yeah, anyway, nerfing damage just allows for a higher amount of skill expression. Like, just think about the examples of some of the invasions that we've had today, where like I'm constantly roll catching my opponent. Even if I do 50% less, I'm going to over time win this invasion. What stops me from winning invasions is getting one shot. And sorry, the second thing that it achieves as well is it allows for a better variety of what exists in the game. So right now, what you see in PvP, generally speaking, is the one-shot stuff, the stuff that kills people in one hit. And if not the stuff that kills people in one hit, something that just you need to be using the stuff that has extremely high damage in order to succeed, right? So that's why we see so much bleed. It's why we see these rot breaths. It's why we see RKR, Royal Knight's Resolve. It's why we see Gugs, crouch poking. It's why we see the meta that we do, is that there isn't room for expression, and where this really lands most, and this is my concern as a content creator, or one of them, is that where this lands is our biggest content creators are not advocating for the game because most of them don't play it, because the game doesn't reward skill, right? Like G9 barely plays the video game. Scott Jund doesn't play the video game. Almost every single one of the biggest creators doesn't really play or advocate for Elden Ring as a game. Yeah, that's why I like level 1 duels. Yeah, exactly. That's a good example of an adaptation. But like, what people want is they want, we want the full range of build opportunities, which is why we want to fight at meta. But we just don't want every fight to be over in 5 seconds, right? Like, I'd say Elden Ring's skill ceiling is so much lower. Actually, I would put it a different way, Thor. I don't think that Elden Ring has a short skill ceiling. I think it has a high skill floor. I think that's a better way of understanding it. I think the skill ceiling is very high. I think the skill floor is also extremely high. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a person can literally go into an invasion and hit L2 on a Mog Spear and just win the invasion, right? How? What? Why? Like, think about that from a game design perspective. Think of yourself as someone who's making a game. Would you ever want to come to a point where this is the definite, like, all you need to win in your, like, fighting game? No. And I don't think that that's even what is intended. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one, even in single player, there's no shot that that's what you want out of your game, right? So something has happened wrong in the nature of the game. Yeah, so that's why the Rivers of Blood nerf is a really good nerf, despite how a lot of people feel about it. The Rivers of Blood nerf is lowering the skill floor, and that feels really bad. right? And the truth is, a lot of people will get upset about that, especially like PvE only players. Will feel bad when the skill floor is knocked out beneath them. If you're a game developer or an aspiring game developer in chat, you don't want to do this ever. What you want to do is you want to start with a game that has a really low skill floor, and then you want to slowly raise that skill floor with crutches, right? Because then every time you release something that bumps the skill floor, the new players feel encouraged to keep playing the game, right? So if your skill floor is too high and your skill ceiling isn't high enough, you lose your veteran players, right? And especially competitive or professional players, which is an important demographic for your game, right? That's one of the frustrating things, is that like, so, no, just Frozen Lightning Sphere, yeah, nice. So that's the frustration of the veteran streamer, by the way, folks, is the game's damage is so high, and the community has a very firm understanding of what's honest and dishonest. So if I'm not using an optimal, extremely high damage build, I'm inviting a huge amount of variety, I'm either just one-shotting these people and it's extremely easy, or I'm getting one shot because I'm gimping myself super hard, right? Personally, I happen to find that very fun, right? I actually really like not using meta stuff and losing, personally, because I'm not super invested in like making a really big show of my skill. But there are lots of content creators for whom their content is their ability to show off their skill. So for someone like that comes into this game, you know, G9, like, let's be honest, this isn't an evaluation. But G9's content is based on the assumption that G9 is one of the best players in the game, which he is, right? And so G9, how does he do content for this game? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you do content with that level of volatility when it comes to like skill expression, right?